Hello, my name is Rory Kinoshita, and I'm the professor for Math 100 Online, and this is the orientation in advanced video for spring 2014 semester. I'm glad that you've chosen to take my class, or if you're on the wait list or interested in taking my class. This will be 16 weeks of hard work. And there are going to be times when you're going to find that it's difficult to fit in the time, but keep with it. It'll all be worth it when you are completely done with the class. To get a hold of me, I have in-person office hours located in Howard Hall 139 on Monday from 8 to 9 a.m. And I have online office hours through CCC Confer on Wednesdays from 8 to 9 a.m. The best way to get a hold of me is via email, and you can see my email address here, or you can also reach me via phone, and any messages will be returned within 1 to 2 school days. If you are on the wait list for this class, the permissions will be given out starting on Wednesday, January 15th, and not any earlier than that. And they're also going to be given out based on the order that's listed on the wait list. So the lower wait list numbers have a higher priority. The reason why I won't be giving out any permission numbers until Wednesday is because that's when the in-person orientation is, and I need to see who shows up to the in-person orientation, because those who do not attend the in-person orientation or complete the orientation in advance and all of the tasks that are outlined there will be dropped from the class, and I will be adding students from the wait list. In order to also get added and to get a permission number, I must see a proof of prerequisite. No permission numbers will be given out until a proof of prerequisite is provided. So what is the proof of prerequisite? For our class, you need to have taken Math 32, 39, or 42 and earn a grade of C or better. If you did not take one of these classes, but you did take pre-algebra at a Los Rios college, then you need to email me, and I need to take a look at what class you did take. Some classes are eligible for you to be the proof of prerequisite for Math 100, and some aren't. So I will need to figure out which class you took and if it meets the prerequisite. You could also take the assessment test. For ARC, the assessment test is the Compass exam, and you need to have taken that within 2 years and be placed into Math 100. That would be a form of proof of prerequisite. Or you could have shown your transcripts to a counselor, and they could have given you a counselor slip dated after March 1st, 2012, showing that you should be taking Math 100. Again, if you don't have the proof of prerequisite, you could go ahead and take this class if you assess into this class. You could go to the assessment center on the ARC website, the ARC campus, and the hours for the assessment center are listed on their website, and you'll have to check the testing calendar to see when they're open. Then you would have to take the Compass test at the assessment center, and I would suggest doing this as soon as possible. The thing is that if you wait until the last minute, you may not assess into this class. Then you'll need to find a Math 32 or Math 25 class, whichever class it is that you do assess into. And the more time that passes, the harder it is to find an open class. instituted about a year ago is the 3 strikes rule. A lot of students know about it, but I like to remind my students, especially for the online Math 100 class. And what the 3 strikes rule says is that for any class offered, and so this would be in effect for our class, the most number of times that you can take a class is 3. So this means that you can earn a D, F, W, I, or an NP, okay, and this is any combination, a maximum of 3 times. So you could possibly have taken the class and dropped it. That could be your first attempt. Your second attempt, you could have earned an F, and maybe your third attempt, you dropped it again. So that would be the 3 times that you would be able to take a class. After the 3 times, you won't be able to take the class again. If you add a class for the 4th time, then the system will go ahead and drop you from the class and you won't be able to take it again. And this is retroactive, meaning that if you took the class 3 or more times, maybe 5 years ago, then they're going to count all of those attempts. Now, this class, this online version of the class, is particularly difficult for students. I've been teaching it for several years, and I've found the success rate to be low for a variety of reasons. The main reason I would say is that students aren't prepared for the material that they're going to encounter in this class. A number of students, I find, have taken the class twice, and they have one more chance to take it. So the last chance being the 3rd time to take the class. And when they take the class, they do not do well. Now, if this is your 3rd time, and I would actually say if this is even your 2nd time taking the class, I would not suggest taking the online version, because if you were not successful in the class the 1st or 2nd time, you are not doing yourself a favor. You're not setting yourself up for success by taking it online, because it's really demanding and it's a very difficult way to learn math unless you're quite good at learning math. Instead, I would suggest either taking Math 100 in a classroom. You could also take Math 103, which is the first half of Math 100 in a classroom, or you could take Math 131 through the Math Learning Center. It's very important for you to decide very soon if you want to take this class, because as of February 2nd, if you drop the class after February 2nd, this will count as an attempt at the class, which means you will either get a W if you drop after February 2nd, or you will get a grade, but that would be part of the 3 strikes rule. It will count as one of your attempts. So if you're trying to figure out if you want to remain in the class, then definitely decide by February 2nd. Now, to get an idea if this class will work for you, some things to think about is, did you do well in pre-algebra? If you got an A or a high B, then this may work for you. And it's very suggested that you have taken math recently, or at least you're good at learning math on your own, that you're good at using technology and you can manage your time well. If you find that the reason you're taking an online class is because you are working 40 hours, you're a single parent with 2 children, and you just don't have time to come to class, then you might not want to take this class. Again, unless you're very good at managing your time, you're very good with technology, and you're good at learning math on your own. Otherwise, I would highly suggest taking Math 100 in a lecture style setting. Again, Math 100 is much, much harder online than it is in a classroom. So there are a number of things you will need to do after watching this video. There's quite a few tasks that are outlined that you must complete in order to have completed the orientation in advance. But after watching this video, you need to get set up in my math lab. Before you purchase the My Math Lab code, however, be sure to show the professor your proof of prerequisite and get the okay that what you have provided will work as proof of prerequisite, because it would be a shame to purchase the My Math Lab code and get set up for this class and find out that you're not eligible to take it, and then it would be somewhat a waste of money. If you have shown your proof of prerequisite and you are on the wait list, if you have priority number 1 through 14, then you can go ahead and purchase the My Math Lab code and get set up, because I will definitely have room for you in the class. If you have a priority number of 15 and higher, you can use the free 17-day trial, and once I give you a permission number, then you can go ahead and pay for the code. There are several important dates for this class because there are 3 in-person exams that have to be taken on the ARC campus. It cannot be taken anywhere else, so if you live out of state or if you live in another country, I would suggest perhaps not taking this class unless you would like to fly in for these exams. The midterm number 1 is offered on campus in a classroom setting on February 28th at 10 a.m. Midterm number 2 is on April 11th at 10 a.m. and the final exam is on May 16th at 10 a.m. These are all on Fridays. A photo ID must be shown. If you do not bring your photo ID, you will not be allowed to take the exam. If you're thinking, well, I work on Fridays, and so I definitely won't be able to take the exams in class with the rest of the class, that's okay, because if you've completed your work early, you can take it before the dates that are listed here. You just need to notify me, your professor, at least 1 week before you want to take the exam. For this class, because it is such a difficult way to learn math, it's very important for you to have active participation in the class. So on a weekly basis, you need to download the weekly worksheets and complete it. You need to complete the assigned homework sections, and if you look in the syllabus or in My Math Lab, you'll see the due dates. I highly suggest that you work ahead. Do not log in on the due date to do the work because you will run out of time at some point, perhaps not in the beginning, but certainly as the material gets harder and takes longer to do. You also need to attend the weekly online office hours, or if you cannot be there on Wednesday at 8 a.m., you must watch the recorded weekly online office hours before the next office hour. And you also must log into My Math Lab and complete your work at least once a week. Also, for active participation, you need to take the quizzes and the in-person exams, and be sure not to miss any in-person exams, none of the midterm or the final, and make sure that you also don't miss more than 1 quiz. In order to remain in the class, you must be an active participant in the class. There are 36 students enrolled in the class, and there are 50 students on the wait list. And those 50 students want to get into the class. If you are in the class, you need to make sure that you are actively participating. Otherwise, those that aren't able to get in, it's kind of a shame that they could have been in the class and been a successful student. So you could possibly get dropped in from the class if you miss 2 or more online quizzes, if you miss 1 midterm exam, if you do not complete work in My Math Lab for over a week, if you fail to complete the assigned homework sections by the deadline date, or if you do not attend or watch the weekly office hours for 2 or more weeks. So do keep track of this and make sure that you are actively participating and you do not do any of the things that are listed here so that you don't get dropped from the class. If you're thinking, well, I'm going to be going out of town, that's why I took an online class, that's okay as long as you prepare. If you get your work completed before you leave town, then you should be fine. When you get back to town, then you can pick up where you left off. Or perhaps if you're going out of town, if you have computer access and you'll be able to get your work done, then that would be okay too. It's also good to be ahead because every semester something happens. So basically life happens. Maybe you get into an accident and you're not able to log in. Something happens to a relative and you have to take care of them. If you're ahead, then if something like this happens, then you're still okay. But if you're barely keeping up and if something happens, then you will fall behind, and it's very difficult to catch up. For this class, you're required to have a scientific calculator. Graphing calculators are not allowed in this class, and iPods and cell phones are also not allowed to be used on the exams. You can just use a scientific calculator. For this class, your grade is based on homework, which will be completed in My Math Lab, weekly worksheets, which you will download from My Math Lab and work out on paper, online quizzes completed in My Math Lab, midterm exams, which you will take on the ARC campus, and the final exam, again, taken on the ARC campus in person. The worksheets that you must complete each week will be posted in My Math Lab. You must show all the work for the problems. The solutions will be provided, so I will be looking for the work. And these will be due in the beginning of class at all of the on-site exams. So worksheets 1 through 5 will be due at midterm 1. Worksheets 6 through 10 will be due at midterm 2. Worksheets 11 through 13 will be due at the final exam, again at the beginning of class. If you take the exam early, you need to turn in the worksheet at the time that you take these exams. For all of your online work, make sure that you have a reliable computer, because once you start a quiz, for example, you must go ahead and submit that quiz after you're completed with it. Make sure that you have a backup computer or 2 backup computers or backup plans in case your computer doesn't work when a quiz is due. So for example, if you have a computer at home, make sure you have a backup plan. That could possibly be the Learning Resource Center, or maybe you have a neighbor. That could be another backup plan, but definitely have a backup plan in case your computer doesn't work for especially on the days of quizzes, because I do not give any extensions for technical difficulties. So I suggest taking the quizzes early. Now homework, which is part of your grade, can be located under the homework tab. And each section of homework must be completed with an 80% or higher. So if you are working on 3.1 and you finish that with an 80% or higher, then you can access section 3.2. And you must work on them in order, so you won't be able to just do some of one section and some of another. You have to do it in order. Please make sure that you complete your work daily. And again, all your homework has a deadline. Any work that you complete after the deadline will lose 5% per day late, which is why it's very important for you to work on your homework ahead of time. Homework is due on Saturdays at 11:59 p.m., so I would suggest working on the homework throughout the week. Please do not work on the homework or start the homework on Saturday. because that means that you'll have to finish 3.1, then 3.2, then 3.3, all in order. And if, for example, one of the sections is giving you trouble, then that means that you might finish the homework late, which means that you may lose 5% per day if you're working on it late. At some point, if you work on your homework too late, you won't be able to complete the next section, because remember, each section must be completed with at least an 80%. If you don't complete it within 80%, you won't be able to continue. So it's very important for you to keep up with your work on it early. Your quizzes are located under the Quizzes and Tests tab in My Math Lab. For you to be able to access your quiz, you must have finished all of your homework in that section with at least an 80%. So if your quiz is due on Saturday, you must have finished all of your homework within 80%, otherwise you're not able to even access the quiz, and there's no exception. So again, you need to keep up with your homework in order for you to keep up with your quizzes, and so on and so forth. Now I know that stuff happens sometimes, and maybe you'll forget that there was a quiz due or something happens and you plan to take it. You have a grace period of 2 days, meaning that since the quiz is due on Saturday, you could take it on Sunday or Monday, but your maximum grade will go down by 10% for each day that your quiz is late. So if you take your quiz 2 days late, the most you can get on the quiz is an 80%. Now this is good if you missed the quiz, or if you took the quiz but you got less than an 80%, then you can still take it late and you can still get a grade of a maximum of 80% up to 2 days late. Now the nice thing about quizzes is that there's no time limit. You could take 2 minutes, you could take 5 hours. You can take as long as you want. You just have to make sure that your quiz doesn't get timed out, that you're actually working during that time. Don't start a quiz, then leave, run errands, cook dinner, and come back, because it may time out and then it will lock you out of getting any work done. Then you'll have to email the instructor who will have to unlock it, and that could take time. So I suggest that you go ahead and you get it done, get everything ready, complete the quiz, and then submit it when you're done. You can also take the quiz as many times as you want by the deadline. So you can take it once, twice, or you can take it 10 times, but as long as you do it by the deadline. As I mentioned, the quizzes are always due on Saturday. That's just for ease of remembering when everything is due. You can take quizzes early, so you don't have to take them on Saturday. I suggest you don't take them on Saturday, that you complete it early, as long as you've gone ahead and done all the homework with at least an 80%. If you take the quiz on time, then you don't have to take the late quiz. When you click on the quizzes, you'll see that there's a quiz there. There's also something called a late quiz. For example, Chapter 2 quiz and Chapter 2 quiz late. You don't have to take the late quiz if you've already taken the quiz, but you can take it if you miss it or earn a low grade on it. Again, I don't give any makeups for the quizzes. Even for technical difficulties, you need to plan ahead, so make sure that you start your quizzes early. When you take your quizzes, it should just be you. No notes, no help from other people. You can't use the textbook, nothing like that. It's just you and the computer and your pencil, calculator, eraser, things like that. The calendar that I was talking about with the due dates is in your syllabus. I would suggest having several copies of that in several places so you know exactly when everything is due. It shows when all the online work is due and when all of the on-site exams are due and all the on-site work. Keep an eye on that so that you know when everything is going to be due and you know what to study for the quizzes and the exams and such. because it is your responsibility. I won't necessarily be reminding you, perhaps in the beginning when we're getting used to everything, but in the future I won't be sending you emails to remind you that quizzes are due. The midterm and the exam, the midterms and the final exam, those are the on-site work, the on-site assessments. You need your photo ID. You need to bring your own pencil, eraser, and ruler, and also your own scientific calculator. Again, you cannot use a graphing calculator or an iPod. You cannot use a cell phone. You cannot use the calculator app on your cell phone, nothing like that. You must use an actual scientific calculator. And these exams are taken on the ARC campus only. Make sure that you study the reviews that will be available closer to the exam dates. That will help you out. The exams, if you take them with the rest of the class, will be held in Liberal Arts 165. Now, if you take it early, then it will be somewhere else, and I will let you know where that is. However, if you're taking it with the rest of the class, it will be in Liberal Arts 165, and there will be no notes allowed. So this concludes the video for the orientation in advance. I hope you have a great semester. Be sure to complete the other tasks. I believe there are 10 tasks total to have completed the orientation in advance. And the deadline for completion of all 10 tasks is Tuesday, January 14th at 12 noon. I look forward to meeting you all.